Thank you, Mayor Josh Garcia, for being with us for your monthly mayor's message to the community.
Always an honor, Natalia.
Gracias.
Always an honor.
Gracias. What quality of life issues have you and your departments and city council been working on? Like overall, what are we seeing that's better or we'll see that's even better?
That's a loaded question to say the
Okay.
least.
And we're done.
It can go the conversation can go any which direction possible. There's all sorts of quality of life issues we're trying to navigate here at City Hall. But I know those that come to the forefront often are those that have to do with um, property, property owners taking care of the property owners, trash issues around the city, enforcement issues, code enforcement issues in particular, and taking it a step back, right? Like, we have these issues around pandemic that put a pause to a lot of things going on. And as we try to climb out of the impact, that's also created a new culture and environment, not just here in public local government, but also in private businesses. Workforce shortages. It's getting harder to find skilled, qualified, capable folks to step into very important positions that the community depend on every single day. And also working in a shoestring budget, right? Very limited budget that doesn't allow much of flexibility to keep up with critical services. And so coming into fiscal year 23, the council has been gracious enough to approve a budget that helps department build up capacity, while we also help. And this is why I say there's so many layers of this. It's like peeling an onion, to say the least. But
We're all crying.
while we're all crying, so we're building up capacity in areas that are critical, where we've seen a lot of turnover. Then there's positions where no one's applying for, or people will apply for and then leave in a short period because they're not competitive enough. So at the same time, we're trying to address those structural issues internally, working with unions and trying to understand, how do we, what are some of these positions, how do they compare to with surrounding communities, and doing what we can to scale those positions up to make them desirable, make them competitive. As far as positions are concerned, that's what we're dealing with. But then it gets a step further than that. It gets a little bit more complicated. So we have trash issues going all around, and it's not unique to Holyoke, but everywhere. Nevertheless, I'm focused within the board of our municipality. We put together a budget that council initially, essentially supported funding to hire an outside consultant to come in to help us do a comprehensive review of our trash situation in Holyoke. And I'm not talking about just day-to-day trash collection, although that's included in this, but also, mitigating the behavior. There's a whole science behind it, and it's important for stakeholders to come together and understand, what are the best practices, what is it we do well, what should we be doing differently, and how much it's going to cost, what are some of the ordinance changes we might have to change. Very similar to kind of, we talked about before, the police audit, the police department, right? Like, any healthy business is always looking at where their gaps are and how they can pivot so that they're keeping up with the quality of the product they're producing. Same thing here in the local government. So we have a stakeholder group that's kicking off soon, collaboratively we've contracted with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And my directive with this group and this consultant, and there's a clear scope of which they're going to operate under, is to work together to come up with a final set of recommendations of which we can ultimately implement. uh, and so, you know, while we're doing what we can right now to keep up with the day to day, we're also trying to plan ahead because really, Natalia, you get what you plan for. I don't want to be the city that I don't want to shoot from the hip. I don't like, hey, why didn't we think about this? Well, let's do it. And then we do it and then it doesn't work or, you know, it's not implemented or whatever the case. We need to come together as a community and make those decisions together so that when we make those investments and we make those changes, you know, that we're ready to take this seriously and keep up with it and maintain it. Um, but code enforcement, you know, again, we've helped departments building, Board of Health. There's a lot of work being done out of the property preservation group, but we've evolved a little bit. I started a new group and it's called, and it's not, I didn't come up with this idea at all. I sat down and met with Mayor Sarno and he shared with me this concept of the Flex Squad that he has in Springfield. And so in a way, we've created that and officially named it that. We meet at the fire department. Every department head and different departments from the liquor license folks to the chief of police to the fire chief, the building commissioner, the director of our Board of Health, the interim director of Department of Public Works. We've been meeting regularly. We started meeting just by bringing in organizers from large events. You know, oftentimes you hear a block party or someone trying to plan some sort of event and permits weren't pulled or there's just runaround, this last minute runaround, people calling the mayor to do overrides and whatnot. And so the idea behind this group was to invite them ahead of time and achieve that cross-level communication. We all know what's going on, everyone's working together, and it seemed to be working pretty well, navigating previous events that have taken place before today. So that we learned a lot in that group and we talk about so many things and enforcement's the key in the forefront of those discussions. And so now we're kind of just evolving and into now what's called the Flex Squad. And ideally behind that includes targeting areas in the city, leveraging as much resources as we can, whether if it's over like after hours or on weekends, overtime for employees in these different departments to keep up with key quality of life issues.
Mayor, excuse me, why is it called though the Flex Squad? I'm not understanding that connection.
Yeah. So we're flexing it's flexing the powers of the city.
Oh, okay.
Enforcement.
Okay.
So it's a loose term. So, you know, like, for example, you know, if I can get the DPW workers Thursday nights and on Saturdays on a regular focus, and again, when you're talking about after hours, this is overtime we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So during the day, there's normal stuff that they're working on, right? Each of these departments. But then we want things specific and focused. So if I want to make sure that all alleyways are clean, and that downtown's free from any debris. If there's a mattress in the alleyway, that there's someone going around the city within a period of time on a Saturday, making sure that those things, while at the same time, right, we'll do that pickup, but we're also looking forward to fine property owners for not maintaining their areas. Those are the kind of proactive things that we're working on right now while we try to fix those systemic issues that are not allowing us to operate as fluidly as we should be, so that we're not kind of playing this catch-up game and we're having to, you know, do these overtime, you know, nights and weekend work out in the community. So it's almost like a twofold strategy. But I can tell you, I know quality of life issues is our favorite topic of discussion around here. When I get the calls all the time, I get the emails. We are paying attention. Our finger is pressing down hard on the pulse. It's a structural problem. And there are both short and long-term goals at play to tackle it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Here's the mayor that sleeps 1 minute every night, and the rest of the time is all over the city trying to
Oh,
figure
it's fun.
it
I mean, there's, you would like to think that these are black and white issues, and you look into it, and it gets, and it shouldn't be, right? Like, and this shouldn't be of any concern of the public. Folks should be able to go on with their business in their lives, without concern as to whether or not the city of Holyoke is working for them, right? And so, we all live here and we get it. We see the frustration. I think, obviously trying to come out of the impact, like I think I do, that pandemic's really kind of put a wrench in a lot of things around here in an already struggling, municipality. But folks are working hard. We hear the issues, we hear the concerns. We can talk. We can talk. You can bring up anything, Natalia, around it, and we can have a very healthy
working on it.
conversation on what we're doing to resolve it. Whether if it's police enforcement, I know traffic enforcement keeps coming up
Yeah.
around the city. Police presence, and even that gets complex, right? Depending on where people stand as to how much police presence people want to
Right.
see.
Right.
And how that impacts the budget, from absentee landlords, and we can talk about that, from trash pickup, trash collection, to street maintenance, to even infrastructure upgrades. So there's a lot of work at play in each of those elements, and I just wish I had a magic wand to fix it right now, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And I want to be honest and transparent as I can with the community. I don't want to sugarcoat things and say, hey, things are perfect here. Don't worry about it. There's no problems out there. There's problems. And I'm very familiar what they are. And I'm very happy that folks continue to let us know, email us, private message me on Facebook. I do read them, even though I don't respond. I don't respond because, Facebook gets,
Yeah.
it becomes a rabbit hole.
And that becomes your full-time job.
And then but I can tell you that folks that do private message me, I do always have someone from my office respond, and there's a one-on-one connection, and we tackle the problem.
Okay.
So, a lot of moving parts, but there's a clear plan at play, and between now and the next, I want to say 3 to 5 years, things are going to start looking and feeling very different.
Okay.
Assuming things go as planned, right? But Anthony Soto at a graduation commencement quoted Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. And in local government, you're constantly getting punched in the face. But it's all right. It's all good.
Thank you for taking the punches on behalf of all of us, Mr. Mayor.
That's what we signed up for.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you though, Natalia, as glass half full, the focus in the administration as far as infrastructure, economic development, High Street is building a lot of momentum in that planning phase. We have mass development through its transformative development initiative focused on, at first it was originally the beginning High Street up to Appleton, but it looks like now they're expanding their scope to include all of High Street. They've hired a fellow who's going to start in the fall. And just for folks who don't know, look it up. It's really an opportunity where we can streamline all, whether if it's state, federal, local resources, to strategically navigate issues in a defined area, and help catalyst, help catapult economic development opportunities. There are developers, and I won't share specifics, but just know announcements will be coming somewhere in the very near future. There are currently developers looking at getting ready for a design phase for new housing construction on High Street, including converting existing building structures into new housing residential opportunities.
Oh, that's exciting.
In the fall, all of High Street will be paved. It's not that we don't have the money. It's not that we don't want to pave it. We have the money and we really want to pave it. The contractors that do the paving are tied up.
Okay.
And so their timeline and their schedule for the city of Holyoke, as far as High Street's concerned, is in the fall. And you'll see all of High Street nicely repaved with, same thing with line painting. A lot of people are, frustrated. Where are the line painting? It's not that we don't want to do it. It's not that we don't have the money. Elements of line painting get outsourced. We have to go out to bid, and the contractors that do that work, they're tied up with other communities. We are doing line painting internally of what we can internally. And then there's others that, I think become a little more, need a little more skill and experience and equipment to do the other things. I know that the DPW has been busy with line painting. They have a schedule with intersections. So we're starting to see that pop up. But there's only so much they can do at once, and you try to outsource what you can't do. That's at play. The MassDOT, the Mass Department of Transportation, has this thing called the TIP improvement, the TIP program. We're in the TIP pipeline to rethink each of the intersections on High and Maple Street. It's a $10+ million project. And if everything goes as planned, in 3 years, folks will see every intersection on High and Maple facelifted with bike lanes. And, there's talks, traffic signals, no traffic signals. If no traffic signals, I can't imagine intersections on High and Maple with no traffic signals. I'm curious to see what the thoughts are on that. But updated traffic signals if we need them, safer walkable streets. You got the Conservation Department there working on a grant for improving the tree landscape around the city in areas where there's missing trees.
Okay, well, I think that I gotta stop. You have a long list.
We're
gonna continue
and
next
I try
month.
to communicate as much as I can things that are in the pipeline. It's hard to keep the public in the loop on everything that's going on all the time. But opportunities like this, Natalia, is always helpful for us, so that we can be sure that we're communicating information to the public that that things are going on.
As always, thank you very much, Mayor Joshua Garcia.
Fiesta patronales.
Fiesta patronales. ¿Cuándo?
August 7, 8, 9. No, sorry. August 4, 5, 6, and 7. First weekend of August.
Okay.
Downtown Holyoke.
All right.
On White Street by Open Square there.
That'll be fun. Lots of good food, lots of good music, lots of friends.
That's what we're hoping for. The organizers seem, they've been meeting every week since January. So I'm very curious to see what the outcome of this and the amount of collaboration that's been happening to get this event going. Number one, it's been very humbling, just personally. I got a lot of pride in seeing that. It's always great to see when communities take ownership. When residents and stakeholders take ownership, and because it's not the mayor that does it. Everyone says, why the mayor does it?
No,
look,
it's the residents.
I'll work on enforcing laws and rules and whatnot, but the mayor it's not what makes the community, it's the people. And so it's just really nice. It was really nice to see that transpire the way that it did, and we're getting this 4-day festival out of it. So,
all right, thank you so much.
No problem.
Take good care.
You too.
Okay, bye.